It's the final twin bill of the GT World Challenge America powered by AWS season. Just two 90-minute sprints and the season-ending Indianapolis 8-hour remain to close out the year. And with season-long titles in all three classes still up for grabs, the stakes have never been higher. This is the home stretch in the race for the championship, and it begins here and now with qualifying for this weekend's pair of races at Barber Motorsports Park. Hello, my name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside on an overcast day here in Alabama, just outside of Birmingham. That's where you'll find this gorgeous facility. Temperatures climbing, though, this morning, getting close to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. But look at that humidity, 80%. That makes it feel much warmer than it actually is. And there is the chance for some sporadic rain shower throughout the course of the day today. We've got a couple of 15-minute qualifying sessions here, Calvin, coming up shortly to set the grid for the final 90-minute races for GT World Challenge America. New race format next year. So especially with this track, with the championship in the back of their minds and a track where passing comes at a premium, there's a lot of focus on these upcoming 15-minute sessions.
Very much so. Track position is king here at Barber because, as you said, it's a beautiful facility. It's got great flow and rhythm, but making a pass here is sometimes difficult, particularly with these Pirellis. We've got the new Pirelli that we debuted at Road America. It seems to be pretty consistent. However, this racetrack has some really abrasive nature to some of the corners here. Certainly some of the apexes that I looked at yesterday on our track walk, Ryan, really look like they could tear up the tires a little bit. So you've got to manage that a little bit, but if you got that track position for qualifying, you're really setting the stage for a good day.
It is an awesome place, opened in 2003, 17 turns, 2.3 miles, 80 feet of elevation change from high point to low point around this fantastic venue. And standing down on the grid, or down in the pit lane at the very least, is the third member of the team. Good morning to Amanda Busick.
Good morning, Ryan, and happy Saturday. Actually, the humidity was one of the first things I mentioned walking out of the hotel this morning. You can feel it in the air here today, but when I was looking over practice times to get ready for this qualifying session, what stood out to me is we have 7 manufacturers basically within a second of each other. So we know that these GT3 machinery is going to be after it today. But one of the things I want to point out this morning is my ad from down here. We do have an app release for GT World here this weekend. So whether you're watching us on YouTube, watching us from home, trackside, make sure to pop up your app store, search for GT World powered by SRO. I've already sent it to my mom this morning so she can watch along. But the app's going to pop up for you, and that's going to move to a screen where you can see all of our action from Barber Motorsports here all weekend. So I know for our drivers and for our fans, finding our content is important. So go ahead and get that downloaded, and we'll join you all day for action at Barber Motorsports Park.
Yeah, it should be fun, and with this new app, it makes it all the more accessible for anyone all around the world, iOS and Android, with all of the SRO series globally housed in just one place. Free, of course, and it allows you to watch races, timing and scoring, news, all in the palm of your hand. So check it out in the App Store today. All right, let's watch as this session unfolds. 15 minutes on the clock. We've got the usual suspects doing the alternate strategy. For the final time, this probably won't be an option for them next year, and it certainly won't be in the Indianapolis 8 hours. So Philip Ellis, a lot of eyes on him, Calvin, here as he goes for yet another pole. He is perfect as far as class pole positions go in qualifying this season.
He really is, and that duo, he and Jeff Burton, have had 3 wins, a couple of podiums, but got a lot of work to do. They're 48.5 points back from the championship leaders, Robbie Foley, Justin Rothberg. So this is really moving weekend for those boys if they're going to think about having a shot at this championship when we get to Indianapolis.
The golf analogies have started early here today,
Absolutely.
Calvin. This place is compared to Augusta National, the famed golf course not so far away from where we're situated here, just outside of Birmingham, Alabama. The analogy, though, it fits because the place is beautiful, it's immaculately groomed, but also the challenge of the place is commensurate with the analogy as well.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday in terms of you got to position your golf ball off the tee to get to the target on the green. I think it's the same thing here at this racetrack in terms you've got to be so precise. It's very technical, and particularly when you got some of these rhythm sections where there's these fast switchbacks. If you get a little bit wrong on your approach shot or your approach line, so to speak, then you're going to struggle to get to your target coming off the corner with good exit speed. So, yeah, we love Augusta. We love here. I mean, when I came into this place for the very first time, I was blown away. I mean, is this a racetrack or is it an immaculate golf course? It's just superb.
It absolutely is. Great place to come and watch. Good vantage points as well. You see some of the fans up on the hillside under the trees. Plenty of great viewing mounds. No grandstands really, so to speak, but great places to watch the action from all around this venue. We're watching Jay Schreibman on his outlap in the AF Corsa entry in the AM class, and Amanda Busick has more on his story.
Hey guys, yeah, I'm going to head down to DXDT to see if I can get a report from Blake McDonald. As the Ferrari was pulling out here on pit lane, it did kind of tag into that left-hand side of the Corvette. Just want to make sure everything is okay as we get underway in qualifying.
A good spot there, and everyone rushes for the pit exit as soon as the session begins. Not much time with just 15 minutes in these sessions, and you need to go through a process, especially with this new Pirelli tire, to get it into its working window, to lay down that fast lap that will secure the starting position you're looking for.
Yeah, we see this again, kind of the dust off line. You kind of see it sitting there on the front straightaway, so that's a concern for the drivers as well as pickup. One thing we're noticing with this new Pirelli P0 that the drivers are competing with since Road America is there seems to be a little bit more sort of shredding of the tire, and that pickup can be a problem. So if you get a yellow, you really got to work hard to keep the energy in the tire and keep those cleaned off. And I think you combine that with what looks like a pretty dusty offline scenario right now with this race circuit. When we get to racing this afternoon, that's going to be a factor.
Here is Philip Ellis. We teased this already. He and Jeff Burton are having a tremendous season so far, using the alternate tactics that they patented early in the year last year, and it's netted them 3 wins on the campaign here this season. But in race 1, and this is the qualifying session that sets the grid for race 1, the strategy is entirely predicated on Philip Ellis getting good starting track position and then building a massive gap for Jeff Burton to manage the rest of the way. They've been able to do it a few times this year, certainly to put the whole race together. As far as the qualifying goes, Philip Ellis has always been up for the challenge.
He has, and what they need with that strategy, they need 0 yellows in race 1, and they need a yellow or 2 in race 2 for the race to come back to them with the alternate strategy. So we'll see what happens here.
3 wins plus 2 additional runner-up finishes on the season has them sitting 3rd in points, 48.5 points out of the championship lead. We'll talk about that in a second. Here's Jay Schreibman serving a drive-through penalty. That is a pit lane protocol infraction. We also have a pit lane speed violation, stop-and-go penalty coming for the 88. That is the McLaren of Todd Coleman. We're riding on board with him right now.
Yeah, and that's not ideal because it just disrupts your flow and your prep of the tires and everything else. So, as Amanda alluded to, it seemed like Jay may have kind of clipped Blake McDonald when they're exiting the pit lane here this morning. Everyone geared up and ready to go. This is not great news for a car that really showed tremendous pace here yesterday. This is the CRP Mercedes AMG. Both Sherman and Dascalo showed pretty impressive pace yesterday, and I think they're really starting to get to grips with that car. They had a couple of races where they didn't really find the setup, and they really rebounded nicely at the last round at Road America.
Good to see them rolling out of the pit lane, but somewhat delayed, 4.5 minutes into the session. And you're right, they were 10th overall in practice 1, improved to 7th overall in practice 2. One of, if not the smallest teams on the grid, but punching above their weight several times this year. They've been really, really impressive.
Sedgwick, as you can see, put 2 purple sectors together, but I believe you saw him slow down there momentarily, so he's setting up for this flyer here.
Alex Sedgwick, the Briton, making his first racing appearance at Barber Motorsports Park. He's coached here before. He told me he had about 3 laps around the place in a Porsche Cup car as part of his coaching duties, and indicated, you know what, it might not be the worst thing. I don't have any bad habits yet from driving a different type of car here at the track that I will have to adjust when jumping aboard this 911 GT3R. Been pretty quick here, and the Porsche in general has been strong at Barber, especially Tom Sargent in the GMG Pro-Am entry.
Yeah, Tom, as you see, Sedgwick go at the top of the board there, but his lap time is only a 125.1, which is not really representative of what we expect to see here in quali. Top times yesterday were both sessions were a 21.3, by Sargent in both of those, 21.357 in practice 1 and a 21.350 in practice 2. Conditions are slightly cooler, even though it is ramping up rapidly here this morning, as Amanda alluded to. The humidity and temps are up there, as well as Kenton Cook. What a mission he has been on this year. Scored his 11th victory of the season across multiple championships yesterday in Pirelli GT4 competition. A driver who's completely on top of his game in every aspect.
Well, and he did it as well in decisive fashion, battling with his championship rival Tyler Gonzalez, put the move on for the lead with a lap and a half to go, and it swung the championship in that series. Pirelli GT4 America Silver Class, a 14-point swing by making that pass, and now he and Kevin Boehm are in firm control of the title hunt there, but they'll go and focus now on this GT3 program for Random Vandals Racing, which came so close to a win here a year ago, if you recall. Kenton Cook and Connor Daly, only denied by a fueling issue that cost them what looked like a sure victory on track.
Yeah, it certainly did. It was kind of an indicator of what's to come, because that team now leads this championship, admittedly not by a huge margin, 18 points. Kenton Cook and Connor DeFilippi, who congratulations to Connor. He celebrated his marriage about a week ago, I think it was, over in Italy. But 5 wins, 4 podiums on the season. Let's watch Philip Ellis on, I think it's just a warm-up lap at this stage.
Sometimes starting to come in, but still waiting for really the first push laps. Kenton Cook quickest at a 1:21.7. That's pretty close to the kind of pace we might see. We'll keep an eye on the times as they come in, but Amanda has another update for us in the pits.
Yeah, just to follow up on a couple stories down here, I was able to talk to Matt Belt quickly on the Corvette. Blake McDonald reporting everything is fine out there from that little touch with the Ferrari. And then on the Mercedes of Jason Dasslos and Isaac Sherman. And speaking to Isaac, he said that Mercedes relayed to them that there's an issue on the left side of the engine. I asked what that meant, and Isaac just said simply they are low on power, most likely electrical issue.
Oh, that is frustrating for a team that really has had some giant-slaying performances over the course of the season, but that will have them on the back foot for both races. Remember, we go qualifying for race 2 right after this, and that does not sound like an issue that will be easily or quickly rectified.
No, I mean, hopefully it's nothing internal, as maybe a coil pack or something like that quickly gets changed for races, but not great. As you said, when you got the 2 quali sessions back to back, if you have a technical issue, tough to rebound from that. Here we see Philip Ellis on a decent lap here. He's about 300ths off Kenton Cook's kind of marker right now, and Kenton's on a bit of a flyer as well. He's dropped that top time down last time through to a 1:21.104. That's the quickest lap of the weekend, as Ellis is over in the grass there trying to find a bit more speed in this Mercedes.
Kenton Cook losing time here on this next push lap in the middle sector. Ellis is close, but trending the wrong direction. What will the third sector bring? He takes the Burton Lumber machine across the timing and scoring loop, and the time comes in, and it is good enough for P1. What a final sector from Philip Ellis, the first driver under 121 at a 120.970.
Yeah, brilliant final sector. As you said, he was trending in the wrong direction. Boy, did he pull it together in that final sector, and nips Kenton by about a 1/10 and a half.
Kenton Cook is in the pits, so it looks like they feel like they've shot their shot. He'll start no better than second overall. Right now, it would still be good enough for the pole in the pro class provisionally, but Mackay Stevens, Bill Auberlen, and Alex Sedgwick are all nipping at his heels as Philip Ellis blasts under the pedestrian walkover bridge. Giorgino watching on, and there is Kenton Cook in the pit lane with 5.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, here we see Ellis. First sector was not good, so I think this is just a cool down lap. See if he resets. Bill Auberlen has just gone personal best in sector 1. He only needs to find a couple of tenths to jump up ahead of Mackay Stevens and make it a Random Vandals 1-2 in the pro class, second and third overall. So Auberlen's feeling it here today, just hopping through the curbs there. Beautiful shot here. A little bit more speed, top speed right there, about 145 as he turns in. Nice line there, and then you crest the hill. Oh, and he's wide. Just asked a little bit too much and lost a little bit there in the second sector and bails on it.
Rolls out of the throttle now. Will this hinder at all the Porsche of Alex Sedgwick coming through? Hopefully not. Sedgwick had a good opening sector. Middle sector was not his best. Here comes the time for the British driver, and he does not improve. Still shown 4th in class, 5th overall for RS1, as now we watch Mackay Stevens ply his trade. Currently third fastest overall, second in class. What a weekend it's shaping up to be for the JMF Motorsports team. Already a couple of wins in TC America, plus a podium finish in GT4 America. All yesterday. It was a very busy day for the team, and this car has been super fast in testing and in practice so far this weekend.
Yeah, Mackay Stevens topped both of the practice sessions here on Thursday, so it's a good debut for him here at the circuit. Didn't compete here last year when we returned as a championship.
Said he did do a test here in the build-up to this race, but those were his first laps at Barber Motorsports Park. A look at the Dollahite Racing Ford Mustang. And Scott Dollahite right now quickest in the AM class, 12th overall. And this has been a monumental effort to have a car ready to go for this weekend. Remember, they had the heavy crash at Road America that actually caused them to have to race a spare BMW from Turner Motorsport just for a couple of laps in order to score points and try and stay in the hunt for the AM-Class title. We noted at the time that they had a Ford emblem on that BMW. Now this weekend, as a thank you to Turner Motorsport, they've got a Turner logo on their Ford, a Turner BMW logo, but it goes to show the great sportsmanship in the paddock that the Turner team really answered the bell. And this chassis here, as Daskalos comes across the line and with a decent time, if they are still struggling, jumps up to 9th overall. Just to put a bow on the Dollahite story, that is a brand new chassis that the team built up. Many of the team have not been home since the Road America weekend. They flew down to North Carolina to the Multimatic facility, including Scott Dollahite and Eric Powell, the two drivers. They've spent just hundreds of man-hours working on this new chassis, building it up to be ready to race this weekend.
Yeah, and I think it's been a great story for them to come in at this level, debut in the Ford Mustang in the championship. And I think, you know, they've tried some different co-drivers for Scott Dollahite, and I think Eric Powell has really grasped this opportunity for the first time at the GT3 level with both hands. I mean, his pace has been really quite a sensation, I think, so far this championship. And I think with a couple of rounds here to go this weekend, the Indy 8 hour, if they can just keep it together, I think they could pull a surprise here this weekend.
One of the co-drivers they've had, Stefano Cattuso, that was back at Sebring. Saw media reports that it will be Stefano as the third driver for the Indy 8 hour next month. No, they had some interesting ideas that they bandied about, but makes sense to go with Stefano, who races the Mustang in other championships globally and has experience with the team as well as recently as the round at Sebring. Philip Ellis, quickest overall. Picture perfect for their plan. Kenton Cook in the pits once again after venturing out briefly. On board here with Kyle Washington, shown down in 14th, but on a personal best lap onto the front straightaway. Let's see if he can find some pace. It wouldn't take much to jump him a couple of spots, and he does. He's up to P12, ahead of Dollahite now.
Yeah, and you can see here from this onboard, there's about 80, 90 feet of elevation change here, but it is subtle, but it is certainly makes this place even trickier when you crest some of these hills. You're just asking for grip, and the track has taken it away from you, so you've got to be so disciplined. We saw Oberlin when we rode with him on that flyer that he tried to put together and just got a little bit wrong. You're immediately in the dirt, and the lap time has gone away.
Here's Rothberg, all the way down in 8th. This is championship contender right here for the Turner team.
4th in class,
right.
So that's the bigger factor for them looking at the big picture. But the 11 car that's chasing them in the championship is 2 positions ahead right now on the grid, at least.
Rothberg's time, the last time by, didn't improve him in terms of the starting grid. Final seconds ticking away on the clock. Anyone on a flying lap can finish it. This is the car that's chasing in the points. Blake McDonald and Matt Bell, they're turning in a really solid season for DXDT Racing, especially in the second half of the year.
Yeah, and they scored their 3rd victory of the year at Road America, and it was in race 2, so it's the first time that Blake McDonald has driven that number 11 Corvette to victory lane versus his teammate doing that in race 1s of a couple of other weekends here. Checkered flag is out. All these drivers are on a fly, can complete if they feel they've got it in the tank, so to speak. There's a predictive lap time that will showcase to them whether it's worth doing one extra lap here or just bailing to pit lane.
Decision time is upon Blake McDonald. We'll soon know what they will do, and indeed, the predictive says time to call it quits. Following him straight in is Justin Rothberg. Don't see anyone out except for maybe Mackay Stevens.
Yeah, he just went personal best sector 2. He needs a 1/10 of a second to grab that pole away. Here he goes.
He did not bail for the pit lane, so here comes Stevens. What kind of lap can he put up in the dying hours of qualifying? Mackay Stevens to the line, checkered flag, and it's not enough.
3/10 off his previous best, so not going to threaten pole position for Kenton. What a drive he put together at Road America, that restart late. I spoke to Danny Koch yesterday. He said, we were so angry that we went back to green with just 1 lap to go. But Mackay stood up in the seat and just held off Kenton, who was on the attack.
Yeah, one day after being beaten up on a restart in the Saturday race, Mackay learned a few lessons from that and applied them in a big way when it really mattered, trying to seal the deal in a race that he and Mikael Grenier had dominated up to that point. That was a big boost, a shot in the arm for the JMF team. Here's a look at the provisional starting grid for race number 1. It is Regulator Racing's Philip Ellis completing the sweep of pole positions for race 1, at least in class this season. He's 28 hundredths of a second clear of Kenton Cook for Random Vandals, who secures pole in the pro class. Then Stevens and Oberlin, Sedgwick completing the top 5 overall. McDonald quickest on his strategy. Nunez debuting for AF Corsa. We'll talk more about him throughout the weekend. Rothberg, Daskalos, Gray, Newell in 10th. Schwest, Washington, Dolehite on the M-Class pole down in 13th overall. Todd Coleman and Jay Schreibman. That's how the 15 cars will line up, pending post-qualifying tech inspection, of course. Amanda Busick has tracked down the fastest man in qualifying session number 1. Philip Ellis is out of the car and ready to chat with Amanda.
And yet again, Regulator Racing will start in the number 1 position for race number 1 here at Barber. And I know you were able to speak with Jeff a little bit before, but a good gap you had on your competitors here today. What can you translate that for Jeff in his session?
I mean, look, I think we struggled a bit yesterday, especially in the high attempts. So we're not really sure what's going to happen later today. But we did a lot of work on the car over the night, and it seemed to work out quite well. It's by far the best car we had all weekend. And then also nailed the lap and just tried to tell Jeff what to expect from the car, because it is quite different to what we had before. Like, for one, it's a clean track now. We don't have all the pickup from the other series, and it's much cooler than it was yesterday or the last 2 days. So very different to drive, so I tried to give him a bit of feedback what to expect. So let's see what he does. And
what happens for you next weekend? You have a bit of a travel schedule ahead.
Yeah, we're flying over to Suzuka for the weekend for the 1,000-kilometer race with IGTC. I'm joining Gatspeed over there, so I'm very excited to do that. First time over there, so it'll be a good experience.
We'll see you there.
I think. All right.
Philip's not the only one in that conversation that's about to make the trek over to Suzuka. You can catch the next round of the Intercontinental GT Challenge, and patrolling the pits for us there will be our own Amanda Busick. Such a special place, Suzuka. Oddly enough, Calvin, I have been there, but only to watch NASCAR.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What year was that?
Well, they ran there twice. That would have been 97 and 98, which happened to coincide with when my family was living in Japan. And so we went to see the exhibition races out
You're in
at
schoolboy shorts, I assume.
Suzuka. Yeah, it was a little chilly, as I recall. It was late in the year. It was after the NASCAR season had concluded. But I might have been wearing long pants, long shirts, long shorts. I'm not sure that Amanda will be enjoying being in a fire suit, though, Amanda. The weather looking quite tepid, right?
I think what I'm most proud of is, so I left my house on Thursday, and I have one medium-sized suitcase, and I have a bag packed with my fire suit. So as long as I have my OMP bag with my fire suit on it, I should be pretty good for the weekend. But yeah, it's going to be pretty toasty up there.
Well, it's a special place. Enjoy it, that's for sure. One of the great tracks in global motorsports. And again, part of the thing that makes Intercontinental GT Challenge so special, you look at the tracks on the schedule, Bathurst and the Nürburgring and Spa, of course, then off to Suzuka, and then concluding the season at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Not sure there's a whole lot missing on that list in terms of iconic racing venues.
Yeah, I think all 5 of those would be in the top 10 on the global scale of everyone's list.
This place might not have the history of a Suzuka or an Indianapolis, but in a short amount of time, it's become revered. It is a special place in its own right. Barber Motorsports Park, ready here for the second qualifying session. This sets the grid for race number 2, and for most of the field, we now see the pro drivers aboard the cars, the higher graded in both the Pro and Pro-Am classes, with a few exceptions, as we saw from Jeff Burton a little while ago.
Yeah, Bill Auberlen also putting a really nice run, so they've kind of bounced back and forth all year. It's not been a consistent strategy for them, but Auberlen did the quali session there, so Choxy, his teammate, will do this one. I think also the 16, they had Nunez, their quicker driver in that lineup, qualify for race 1. Marcelo Hand will qualify here. And just get back, we saw a brief shot there at Great Newell. That team's been on a bit of a roll. 3 podiums in the last 4 weekends, coming off a bit of a struggle to start the year where Darren Turner kind of got a baptism of fire and always seemed being involved in some argy-bargy through the first few rounds of the championship, but they really found their feet and putting in some really solid performances of late.
Gray, still very new to GT3 racing, had done sporadic starts in global competition, but this is his first full season in GT3, so great mentor to have in Darren Turner. And the team boss, Ian James, not here this weekend. He's busy driving in Austin, Texas in the World Endurance Championship race. He's a busy guy, not just driving, Ian, but overseeing this Goliath that Heart of Racing has morphed into, with cars racing all over the world, and they'll have a presence at Suzuka next weekend as well.
Absolutely. So it's incredible the challenges that presents for that group. But Ian's got some great support around him. Paul Charsley's on site here this weekend, kind of steering the ship for the Pirelli GT4 program and this one as well. So they got a great team, great people, and they're embracing it. I spoke to Ian, I said, man, how do you handle it? He said, no, I'm loving it, mate. He said, it's all good. He said it's hard work and a lot of moving pieces, but they're really enjoying this tremendous effort and challenge that they have in front of them.
First times clicking on to timing and scoring. It is Marcelo Hahn in this car. Diego Nunez qualified in the previous session.
We talk about the precision and lining up the corners there. That was an example of how to get it wrong there in that high-speed switchback. Jeff Burton there that we were looking at, just coming through 12 and 13, just had it wrong on the entry, and that just affects the next part, and you never recover and you run out of room. And it's pretty tough. I mean, Phil Abellis gave his great insight there that we changed the car overnight big time, so the speed is there, but it's a very different car to drive. For a pro, you adapt to that naturally and quickly, but for an amateur driver, that is a big change. I mean, getting the confidence, getting the feel of the car underneath you, how it's going to respond in particularly these high-speed commitment corners, that's not easy when you only got 15 minutes to deal with.
This is not a place that lets you just walk up to it gingerly. To be fast around here, it does take a great deal of commitment, lots of blind corners, corners that feed into one another. It goes back to the precision you talked about requiring, this track requiring, when we made the analogy to Augusta National earlier.
Yeah, I was amazed there just watching Jan Halen, how he attacked that curb in turn 12. He had the whole car on top of that, so he wasn't at full speed. And I'm going to be curious to see if we follow him on this lap, whether he's able to embrace the same amount of curbage through there. There's also a big one between 8 and 9 down towards the museum that the drivers really like to eat up to straighten kind of the corkscrew effect that you have through that downhill plunge.
Let's talk through this lap here for Jan Halen. This is into turn 5, downhill brake zone, good passing opportunity. Corner known as Charlotte's Web because of the big spider sculpture that sits just to the right of our camera shot.
Watch this. Now he's on the run here, down towards turn 8. Be all the way over to the left-hand side of the road. Just send it in here. Talk about precision, but this is one where he just bludgeoned over that middle curb there, as you can see. And that's really something you have to get with the setup in terms of getting the suspension system compliant with these big curbs here, but not unsettling the platform when you need that support through the high-speed corners.
Jumping ahead in the lap on board with Aaron Telitz, who has been fast this weekend, turns in a decent opening gambit, 121.492 for the Wisconsin native. Shares the car with Todd Coleman. Here's Halen. Whoa, big twitch.
Wow, he just squirted on the power there and almost lost the car. So he's a couple of tenths off. Put him right in the mid-21 range still if he can finish off this lap. We'll see what he comes across the board with.
Time is good enough to jump to the top, 121.409. But we saw a pole for qualifying one down sub 121, and these cars will be lighter because they do not refuel between qualifying sessions. So you would expect the faster time should come here in Q2.
Yeah, and Connor DeFilippi does go a couple of tenths quicker than his teammate here because of that light fuel load. And obviously Connor doing his job behind the wheel as well. So celebration time for him, as we mentioned in the first quali session. This young man got married last week in Italy, so it's been a busy time for him, but he's fully focused on the task at hand, which is handling one of these BMWs like Robbie Foley is driving right here. Did our track preview with Robbie, so look for that in our race broadcast here this weekend. A great insight to how to tackle this tremendous racetrack.
Putting together a solid lap here, purple in the middle sector, which has him fractionally quickest of all, trending that way.
Coming down through 14, that was kind of unique. I haven't seen anyone adopt that line. Let's see what it does for his lap time here. Quarter of a second off the fellow BMW, so they'll look to dig a little bit deeper on that one. Different classes, of course. DeFilippi in Pro, Foley the championship leader with Justin Rothberg in Pro-Am.
Here's Jan Halen. Crosses the line still 0.3 of a second shy of pole position. Connor DeFilippi had a great opening sector, but gave it all away in the middle. So this is a reset effectively here to close out this lap. And Varun Choksi is giving chase just behind in the sister car from Random Vandals.
Yeah, you'd like to be a little bit closer. Sometimes it's good to have that carrot right in front of you when you're giving chase, particularly to your teammate. You're looking for those last couple of tenths. Sometimes you can see something a little bit different that he's doing immediately in front of you. Double effect when you get within about 6 car lengths or so, you will get a little bit of a draft effect down the straightaways, but it can take away a little bit of the downforce through the corners where you need it as well.
A couple of changes towards the top. Mikhail Grenier just jumped to P2, 73 thousandths off of Connor DeFilippi's time. That bumps Foley down to the second row. Halen to 4th. Telitz now 5th. Matt Bell is 6th. Here's Oz Negri, the veteran.
Good little battle going on for that amp pole. Powell has it right now aboard the Dollar Height Ford Mustang at 122.5. Negri has about 4 tenths to find here.
They've swapped it back and forth between the two of them a couple of times already in this session. Here's Negri, right now 13th overall, 2nd in AM. To the line he comes in the AF Corsa Ferrari, and the time not good enough to take class pole away from Eric Powell.
Closer, but he needed another tenth there, so he found about 3 tenths. He needed 4. Did you notice how different Oz's line was coming down this hill here compared to Robbie Foley, and the same with Eric Powell? He's more in the middle of the road as he gets toward that final corner versus the other drivers really setting up extreme right to then sweep on this front straightaway and get your hands at the steering input off the car a little bit earlier.
New personal best lap for Eric Powell, and it allows him to jump Aaron Povoledo, gives him a bit of a buffer to the other car in the class, and he continues to push on in that rebuilt Ford Mustang. On board with Tom Sargent, who has been among the quickest drivers here all weekend, but you noted watching him in practice, Calvin, this car has appeared to be on the ragged edge.
Yeah, he was definitely wringing its neck to get that lap time. So he's about 2 tenths off the lap times that he did yesterday. He's currently got a 121.5 on the board. He did a 121.3 in both of the practice sessions yesterday, within a few thousandths of one another. So he's got to find some speed here as the bar has been raised.
Interesting to note, Philip Ellis's overall pole time was a 120.8. Still haven't seen that time matched or eclipsed here, despite everyone being on lower fuel. Gives you some idea of just how quick that lap was from Philip Ellis.
When Philip Ellis says it was a good lap,
Yeah.
that means it was a really good lap.
Yeah, he said he nailed it.
See the little blind crest there. When you're looking at the sky from the onboard, the driver's not seeing the road either.
How busy his hands are, too.
Yeah, it's a really tricky sector as you come up to the top of the hill. The floating speed, just trying to load the car a little bit, but it's not really want to give you the bite. Let's see what he comes across. He jumps up big time.
Wow, only 7 thousandths off of overall pole. That's good enough for P2 overall. How about Mikael Grenier? He does get down to the 120.8 range. Takes the overall pole away provisionally with just under 4 minutes to go by 78 thousandths of a second. And Connor DeFilippi stationary in the pits. Likely not enough time on the clock for them to have any kind of rebuttal.
Yeah, don't count out this JMF squad for this championship. They come into this weekend after the big win at Road America, only 18 points back. Grabbed that third victory on the season. Oh, look at Sargent attack. That was huge there. He used a lot of the curb on the entry. Drivers don't normally do that on that first curb. He chose to do that to see if he can hang on. He's got to find a couple of tenths off his previous best already. He's down in sector 1. Huge commitment. You can just see the energy in this race car right now.
It's been breathtaking. Look at that. He's already carved back those 2 tenths he lost.
Did. But I tell you what, he was sideways between those two corners. I hate to make the call, but I think he's just pushing a little bit too much right now. It's a little bit too ragged.
We'll see if the stopwatch agrees with Calvin Fish. Here comes Tom Sargent, the Antipodean, looking to improve. Only needs to find 85 thousandths, but did indeed give up too much time there in sector 3. Gave it all he had, though, and it's still quick enough for class pole position with 2.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, despite those 2 moments, he was only a tenth off his previous best, so if he can tidy it up, there's still potential here. Do the tires still have the bite? Has he gone peaked on the pressures possibly by pushing so hard? Car's getting lighter, fuel burn has obviously taken place. Flashing his lights, is there traffic up ahead of him? See if that's going to stymie his approach here.
This Museum Quarter Complex.
Oh, you can see the steering wheel, but he's having to control the car when he attacks like that. He's coming off that corner, and he's just trying to get everyone's attention. He feels he's on it and just trying to get the drivers up ahead, alerted to his pace. Choxy gets out of the way. See if he can control it a little bit better there. Yeah, much more disciplined. That is a good corner right there.
Oh, but he goes wide at the exit. Very similar to what we saw from Bill Auberlin in Q1 just a little while ago, and Tom Sargent had it going. Wow, he was within 74 thousandths through sector 2, but it all went away in sector 3, and he bails for the pit lane. So too does the provisional pole sitter, Mikael Grenier. What a lap from the JMF team, which has been quick all weekend long, and barring a Hail Mary late in the going, it looks like they may have an overall pole position for race 2 tomorrow.
Look how tight it is. We have got 7 drivers within 6 tenths.
1 second covers the top 10 as Tielitz jumps to 4th.
Wow.
Second place in the class. That bumps Robbie Foley down to 3rd.
Yeah, the championship leader there has now got a lot of work to do. Matt Bell, their closest pursuer, the 11 squad, sits 2 positions further back, 1 position in class, but Jan Halen, the meat in that Pro-Am sandwich.
Maybe CRP got whatever was causing their problems resolved, because Isaac Sherman sits in 9th within 8 tenths of a second of the pole position.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid run.
This could be a big lap for Maz Negri right now. 2nd in AM, comes to the line, but no. Not enough to displace Eric Powell.
22.8, 2 tenths off his best.
He will get 1 more push lap if he wants to go for it. Checkered flag is out. Just a handful of cars still out on flyers. Aaron Povaledo amongst them just did his best first sector. Is there enough grip left in the tires? Here he comes in the Corvette. And the Canadian Aaron Povaledo sees the checkered flag, does not improve. Still 1.136 seconds adrift of Mikael Grignier's pace-setting time. Matt Bell sees the checkered flag. He'll settle for 7th overall and 4th in class. Just waiting on Powell and Negri. Neither of them are lighting up timing and scoring, so it doesn't look like anything is likely to change here in the final moments of qualifying. Negri will come around to complete the lap, but it appears Mikael Grenier, by 78 thousandths of a second, will take the pole position. It's a pro-class sweep of the front row. Then it's Tom Sargent. Look at that, less than a tenth between the top three. And yeah, Sargent was close a couple of times.
Yeah, Negri was really close on that final lap. He's only a tenth of his previous best, so he felt there was some potential there to nip that pole away from Powell, but not to be.
Nope, ends up 0.3 of a second shy of class pole position, and they'll have to battle it out on the racetrack now. So there it is, the Rova Motor Oil Pole Award. It goes to JMF Motorsports. There's Mackay Stevens. He qualified in Q1, and he'll congratulate the team. Their GT4 drivers getting ready because they'll be on track here for qualifying shortly as well. As mentioned, JMF as busy as any team here on site this weekend with programs in 3 different SRO America Championships. Here's a look at a very tight qualifying session with a 1/10 of a second covering the top 3, 1 second covering the top 10 in the 15-car field. And if you extend it out to a 1.5 seconds, you've got 12 of the 15 cars. Solid qualifying effort for Dollarhide Racing, Cal. They sweep both M-Class pole positions.
Yeah, as we said, I mean, it's a team that's really on the march right now. Unfortunately, had that big hit at Road America to do all of that work in between switching to a brand new chassis, but hasn't really got them off their stride. They come in here just continual improvement. And again, I think for the whole group, and especially for Eric Powell, he's doing an excellent job. His pace is superb.
Keep an eye on that team. They've got big plans for the future, so watch this space. Should mention that pole for Tom Sargent in the Pro-Am class. Really good lap late from Aaron Telitz as well to take 4th overall. There's Mikael Grenier, quickest of all in qualifying 2. And there's the Rova Pole Award that goes to the Canadian. Let's hear from him now. Amanda Busick is clearly standing by.
And I'm sure you can only imagine that your team was celebrating. Mackay Stevens in the center of it. Congratulations, she'll start on pole for the Rova pole position in race number 2. When we talked to Philip Ellis after he told us it was a great lap for him. And we know for Philip that would be just that. What about for you, Mackay?
Mackay's my teammate. Yeah, it was a good lap. I mean, had a bit of traffic in the last sector, so I think we lost a bit. But it was a good lap. We improved the car from yesterday. Also, the cooler temperature makes it easier on the tires because yesterday was quite warm. We said before the weekend we have to start in front, try to outscore the BMW, so that's what we will try to do. Also this afternoon, Mackay starting P3, so it's a good place to start.
When you look at the championship, Hun, and the point situation between you guys and the BMW, why is every advantage important right now?
Yeah, I mean, we're a bit behind, but not that much. I think if we can outscore them here twice, then we are really in the game for Indy, and Indy is double point, so I think we will have a good crew in Indy. So yeah, just have to have a clean weekend, no mistake, because we lost some point twice in the year where we should have won. So yeah, let's see.
Congratulations to JMF Motorsports. Race number 1, guys, later on today.
Yeah, plenty to fight for, that's for sure. And with double points on hand at Indianapolis, there's still a lot to play for. And Mikael Grenier, busy guy, he'll be headed to Suzuka as well. So he'll be in the final 2 Intercontinental GT Challenge races of the season at Suzuka and Indianapolis. So qualifying's in the books. Any surprises, positive or negative, from you, Cal?
No, I think the pace was tremendous. It's a really tight group there, so I think the real key is where can drivers make some moves? How much risk will they take to try and get that boost going into Indianapolis?
A look back at a frantic qualifying session that saw 15 cars searching for the best times, looking to get the track position required to get the result later today and indeed ahead to tomorrow in the second race of the week. And remember, these are the final 2 90-minute races for GT World Challenge America. It switches to a 3-hour single race weekend format next year. So it's the last chance to go out on a high and capitalize on these relatively short races and the format we've become accustomed to over the years. Mikael Grenier ends up quickest in the second session. He'll lead the field to green. Eric Powell completes the sweep of the pole positions in the M class for the Dollarhide Racing team and sets the table nicely for that championship battle to continue. Hope you join us for the race here at beautiful Barber Motorsports Park.